What's going on, guys? This is Seth here, and tonight I am back with another college football prediction video, and this time it'll be between the Clemson Tigers versus the LSU Tigers on August 30th of 2025. I believe this might be a week 0 type game, because I know that Miami and Notre Dame, they play like the next day, I think, so I guess it's on a Friday night or Saturday night. I have to look up on the calendar and recheck that. But this is going to be another epic matchup for these two schools especially. So for these two schools, I think if one school wins, it could be like a quad 1 win like in basketball. So this is going to be an epic matchup between the two. Both quarterbacks are back for both teams. Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. So they're both back. So a lot of guys from both teams are back from each team. So it's going to be very interesting to see how well the Tigers from Clemson and LSU will do in this matchup between each other. So as of further ado, let's go ahead and go through the slideshow. Also, I also use all these stats for our lads to predict players and the transfer portal with On3 and ESPN for the stats as well. So I use I try to use the best resources I can to make it into this video. But also comment down below onto what you guys see or what I did wrong, or what player that should be the top 3 players on offense or on defense as well. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the next slide, and we have the last season record. Clemson won the ACC title. Great year for them. They came on. They had a few games that they should have won, but then they lost, like Louisville. But somehow they still made the college football playoffs after they beat SMU on a crazy ending drive to win. They went 10-4, 7-1 in the conference. They lost to Texas, so the whole playoff system was just a chaotic volcano, just eruption, just crazy. Like SMU probably shouldn't have been in the college football playoffs, though they were only lost one game this year, and so it's just crazy to even think about. And LSU could have been in the playoffs. It was just a crazy, wild first year of the 12-team playoffs. And LSU had a pretty good, solid season, in my opinion, after Jaden Daniels left from LSU, and a lot of guys from LSU left as well. So they did win the Kinder's Texas Bowl versus Baylor, 44-31, and they're 9-4, 5-3. And of course, Clemson was 10-4, 7-1, and they also won the ACC title, which hints to why they made it to the playoffs. I do kind of like the system with teams who are Power 4 has a bid for the playoffs to win their conference championship, which I think that conference championship still has value, in my opinion, than bowl games. All right, so the last time both of these teams played, which was January 20th of 2020, before the world went chaos. It wasn't chaos, but it before the pandemic and all this other craziness. LSU pretty much dominated Clemson with Joe Burrow, with Justin Jefferson. I mean, they had all these crazy athletes for Clemson with the head coach. I forgot his name already. Ed Orgeron. When they had Coach O as that whole team was just insane. One of the best teams I've ever watched in college football. They just dominated everybody the whole year. They beat Clemson 42-25 in the national championship before the chaos started. So yeah, that's the last time Clemson and LSU played between each other. Okay, so the coaches comparison. I know this is not all exactly the stats for Brian Kelly. He did coach at Notre Dame, had a great success there for the Irish. He made it to the national championship, I think, a few times, but then he got smacked by Alabama with Monte Teo and that whole saga craziness. But he also had a solid. He's been having a solid career with LSU. I think it's a solid career with LSU. 29-11, made some big moves, beat Alabama's first year. Jaden Daniels, and that was a solid year for them. Though this year was kind of a rocky start almost, but I think that this year Brian Kelly will have a good season. Dabo Swinney, of course, 180 wins with 47 losses. That's really, really impressive. And of course, a 3-time national champ, head coach at Clemson. Though a lot of people were probably a little upset with him for the last 2 seasons with not going to the transfer portal, doing Dabo Swinney ways. But I like the way Dabo Swinney coaches. Not coaches on offense, is a little stagnant with the run plays and these little short gadget plays I don't really like from them. But I think they'll improve this year for Clemson. All right, so there you have it. Dabo Swinney, 180 with 47 losses with Clemson. Of course, Brian Kelly at LSU, 29 wins and 11 losses for him. Okay, so the location for this matchup will be at Memorial Stadium in South Carolina, which is the Clemson Tigers Stadium. I've been there when Appalachian State played Clemson, and I think it was a fun atmosphere, pretty cool atmosphere in my opinion. So I was a little bit on this side right there, on the left side hand right there. You guys can see the mouse. So it was a pretty cool experience to be at Clemson when App State played there. All right, so this is just a portal tracker. You guys can see how I listed some of the players here. So the players that are transferring out, we got for Clemson. These are like just 4 players, not a whole list, but I try to get like some of the I guess notable players that are leaving. We got Tavoy Fegan, which transfers to Ole Miss, who's a DB. A wide receiver, Troy Stellato, transferred to Kentucky. We got defensive lineman Trey Williams, transferred to Michigan. All right, for LSU, we got Deshaun Womack, who transfers to Ole Miss. We got defensive lineman Jalen Lee, transfers to UNLV. Linebacker Xavier Atkins, transfers to Auburn. Defensive lineman Kimo Makeo, transfers to West Virginia. So there are your transfers or players that are transferring out. And we got players transferring in. Not a whole lot of players transferred into Clemson, but hey, Dabo Swinney finally is adapting to the transfer portal. And you got defensive edge Jeremiah Alexander from Alabama, or I think they're still debating on whether he's going to go to Auburn. But I think that he's a Clemson lock. May not know about that one. Then we got Purdue player Will Helt, and we got wide receiver Tristan Smith from Southeast Missouri State. Of course, LSU, defensive edge Patrick Payton from Florida State, wide receiver Nick Anderson from Oklahoma, tight end Donovan Green from Texas A&M, and of course wide receiver Destin Hill from Florida State. So LSU got some solid pickups in the transfer portal compared to Clemson. All right, so the top 3 players, in my opinion, for last year's offensive players, also Phil Maffa is gone, but they did have a solid players coming back. We got Cade Klubnik, who went 308 for 486 completions to attempts with 63.4 completions or percentage, 3,639 yards passing, 7.5 average per throw, 36 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He actually really did shock me this year because a lot of people did not think that Cade Klubnik was the answer for the offense for Clemson, but I think that this could be a Heisman type of year for Cade Klubnik. Then we got running back Keith Adams, who's going to fill in my opinion, after Phil Maffa has gone to the NFL draft with 30 carries, 122 yards, averaged about 4.1 per carry with 1 touchdown. And then the star receiver for Clemson is back, Antonio Williams. He had 75 receptions, 904 receiving yards, and 12.1 per catch of average, and then 11 touchdowns of receiving. So he had a solid season for Antonio Williams. So it's good to see him back for Clemson, especially for Cade Klubnik and Dabo Swinney's offense, because they desperately need some passing game type of offense this year. All right, so top 3 offensive players for LSU. We got quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, who had a really, really great season last year, especially for the SEC, based off the stat wise, in my opinion. So he had 333 over 525 completions to attempts with 64% completion percentage, 4,052 passing yards, averaged about 7.7 per throw, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Really solid in my opinion. Then we got running back Caden Durham, who's back as well. So they had a solid quarterback, running back, and wide receiver all returning for LSU, which is really good for Brian Kelly's offense, who had 140 carries, had 753 rushing yards, averaged about 5.4 per carry, and has 6 touchdowns. So that's going to be solid for the running game for LSU this year. Wide receiver Aaron Anderson, 61 receptions, 884 receiving yards, 14.5 average per catch, and 5 touchdowns as well. So I think they're going to have a solid offense this year for LSU. All right, so the top 3 defensive players for Clemson, we got defensive lineman TJ Parker. I don't think these are all the top players, so bear with me. I try to find the best players who are going to be currently returning for Clemson this year. So if I miss a player, please comment down below of who should be on this list as well. So we got defensive lineman TJ Parker, had a great season last year 57 total tackles, 34 solo, 11 sacks, which is insane, 6 forced fumbles, crazy, 2 fumble recovers, and 1 pass deflection. That's actually a really solid year. I mean, 11 sacks is incredible. We got linebacker Wade Woodaz. He had 82 total tackles, 41 solo, 3 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and 5 pass deflections. Good grief. I mean, Clemson's defense is actually really good. We got defensive back. We got Khalil Barnes. He had 61 total tackles, 36 solo, 4 interceptions, and 3 pass deflections. So they had a solid defense last year, though they had some games where they had some hiccup games. But Clemson always has had a solid defense, in my opinion. All right, top 3 defensive players. Defensive lineman for LSU. We got Ahmad Bro. Bro. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, because I know that's like a L-E or E-A-U-X is like go or bow or something like that. So I guess Bro that's his last name. 17 total tackles, 8 solos. I think he's going to be like the current player, one of the current starters for LSU. That's returning for them. And we got Whit Weeks, linebacker, had a solid, great year last year. 120 total tackles, 61 solo, 3.5 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 interception, and 4 pass deflections. So he basically did it all for LSU last year. Then we got defensive back Jordan Gilbert, 52 total tackles, 28 solo, 0.5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, or worst fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, and 2 pass deflections. So that's a solid players for LSU as well, with Clemson's players also. Okay, so team stats for Clemson, the 2024 team stats. I know this probably doesn't have any correlation for this upcoming season, but it's also good to see a reflection of last year's season. So passing yards, they ranked 15th with 278.5. Rushing yards on offense, they had 173.4, which they were ranked 48th. Not too great, not bad either. Points for, they had a solid year with 36.4, which ranked 13th in the league. Points against, they had like I said, they had a pretty good defense, but it's not too bad. They had some hiccup games. 23 only allowed 23.4, which averaged about 50. It was ranked 51st in the league. So total offense for Clemson, they averaged about 451.9 yards per game. Defense, they allowed 374.1 yards per game, which is not too great, but not bad as well. But so they only allowed on passing yards 213.5, which is not bad at all. 160.6 rushing yards allowed. So I mean, not too entirely bad, but I mean for Clemson, that's not great their standards. All right, so for the team stats for LSU for the 2024 season, similar to Clemson in offense and in defense. But the rushing game, they didn't really do so well, so they need improvements on that. So passing yards, they were ranked, or they had 315.2 yards passing, which they were ranked 7th in the nation. And of course, rushing yards, they had about 116.4 per game, which they were ranked 108. So not too great at all. Points for, which on offense, similar to Clemson as well. They were tied 45th in the nation, which is not bad at all. And the points for, which is also similar to Clemson, they were ranked 59th in the nation with 24.3 points allowed per game. Total offense for LSU, which is 431.5 yards per game. Pretty good. Defense, though, like I said before, similar to Clemson with 364.4 yards per game. And they allowed 224.3 passing yards allowed per game, which, I mean, it's not entirely bad, but I mean, still not great in LSU standards, which they are boom or championship or bust like the SEC. And of course, they only allowed 140.1 rushing yards allowed per game. And there you have it, guys, for the stats for Clemson and for LSU. And so finally, let's go ahead. Oh, let me mess it up. So this game is going to be very interesting, in my opinion, because both teams are, in my opinion, solid teams. I think Clemson's really good. I think LSU is going to be really good. But I think, in my opinion, I know a lot of fans will probably say, of course, he's going to go with the safe bet, or he's a Clemson Tigers fan. I'm not a fan of either team. I just predict videos. A lot of fans don't understand why they comment down below like, oh, you're a Clemson fan, you're a Clemson homer. No, I am not. I just predict videos. And of course, I'm going to go with Clemson right here with a -6. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a very defensive game. Maybe a lot of sloppy plays because it's the first game of the season. I think that Clemson is going to win by -6, where the score is going to be like 20-14. It's going to be at Clemson, so I think I'm going to go with the safe bet. Like I just said, I'm not biased. I think LSU may beat Clemson, but I just see how it is. It's at Clemson. It might be a night game, and Clemson plays pretty well at night games, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what or how they'll do in this year's game. So, all right, guys, Seth Voigt here. Y'all have a great rest of the night. Comment down below what you guys can think about this game, and also comment down below what I missed through this video. And I know I probably butchered some words and just other stuff as well, but it is what it is. And I'm not perfect, but hey, I'm trying to do the best I can with these videos. But yeah, more prediction videos on the way. If you guys like this style of videos with the stats and then the transfer portal and the news and just in general, comment down below as well. All right, guys, Seth Voigt here. Y'all have a great rest of the day, and peace out.